Hi, this is Charla from Freezer Meals 101. I know that you are used to seeing me and Christy. Christy is my neighbor and bestie, and usually you see us in my kitchen, and we are usually making food. And today, this is my living room and my office, and I am going to walk you through how we do prep. Actually, Christy and I are both going to walk you through how we do prep. We do it separately at each of our houses. We divide up the prep and kind of do what works best for us and like what our strengths are and what we're best at. And we find that dividing up the prep works. Instead of like me doing half the onions and her doing half the onions, she does all the onions and all the cheese, and I do all of the cooked chicken and some of the other veggies. Anyway, we're gonna get to that, but we've had the question a lot of how we prep for our huge mega sessions of freezer meals where we make 3 months worth of meals at a time, so over 100. The exact number is never something we're sure of before we start, because if there's prepped ingredients left over at the end, then I look through my pantries and my fridge and my freezer and see what else I have, and then I invent recipes on the fly. So we never really know our full total until the end, until it's all done. So we'll see, but we know it's going to be well over 100 meals this time because of what we've planned already. We're really excited because, as always, we're trying lots of new recipes, and we have planned the ones we love. So to start our prep, the first thing that I do is I sit down right here and start choosing recipes. Christy sends me a list of ones that her family is really craving or that she really wants to make again. And those are from like our tried and true recipes. And I think about what I've got coming up in the next few months, and then I choose my recipes accordingly. And of course, we choose things also based on the season, and sometimes we choose things based on what's on sale. So an example of that is that last week I was able to get cases of frozen chicken drumsticks for $10 a case, and it was 6.6 pounds in each case. So I'm able to make like quite a lot of meals with the 3 cases that we bought. And so of course we had to choose some recipes that use drumsticks this time because of that sale. And that's pretty common, where we will base what we choose on flyers or what's on sale. There was also a case lot sale last week, and the chicken drumsticks were part of that case lot sale. And so I bought all of our cases at that time. So we didn't have quite as many groceries to buy this time as we usually do, because I had gotten some of them during the case lot sale. So I take kind of what our family is thinking of. Like, we're going on a ski trip in 2 months to the mountains, and so I always bring all of our meals with us as freezer meals, and it just makes it so easy for me. And one thing that we always do is chili, because when you're out on the hill, there is nothing better when you're like cold and you come in and there's like a slow cooker full of nice chili, like steaming hot chili, and you can just scoop it in your bowl, and that's so perfect. So of course chili is going on the list this time. And I was also thinking again about that trip when I chose some of the other recipes. So I first go to our recipes. You can find our recipes, you can find some of them on freezermeals101.com. You can find even more of them in the Freezer Meals 101 Club. I will put the link for both of those in the description below. I went to the Freezer Meals 101 Club, and I found the recipes that are our tried and true ones that I knew that I wanted to make for this time, and I printed all of those recipes off. And now here's where I'm gonna start to sound like an infomercial, but bear with me. You'll see what I mean. If I was a member of the Freezer Meals 101 Club, which I guess I sort of am, but if I could just do the recipes from there, I would have saved myself 4 hours of time, and I could have just kind of ended it at the choose the recipes and then choose the quantities that, however many that you want to make of each recipe. I could have then clicked, added those to a meal plan, clicked print recipes. It would have printed all those recipes. I then could have generated my shopping list, and it would have printed my entire shopping list. And then I could have gone over and printed the labels and just adjusted the quantity of labels for each recipe. And bam, this part of prep would be completely finished. But for me, because we want to make this like the best experience for you guys, we are always looking for new recipes. And especially when we do our mega sessions, we like to include a lot of new recipes. So it wasn't as simple as just picking recipes that are already in the club. So then I go to different sources that I have, friends and family, and a Pinterest board that I have, and things that Christy and I have been talking about, and restaurants that I've gone to and tried things, and all of that, and I create recipes. If I find them on the internet, then I have to adapt them to make them into a freezer meal, or adapt them based on like our preferences. So I write those recipes out and take the ones that I had printed from the club, sit down with that stack of papers, and then I create a draft of my shopping list. This is what takes so long. So for each of the recipes, I go through and figure out like how many, not just how many onions I need, but how many are minced versus diced versus sliced. And I make tally marks for that. And then at the end, I'm able to determine exactly how many of those we need. Again, in the club on your shopping list, it will print off that it, this many onions sliced, this many onions diced, this many onions minced. Therefore, you can use that as your prep list as well. But I don't have the benefit of that because of these, looking for new recipes. Therefore, I have to do the tally marks method. I do that also for things like the chicken, how much of it is raw versus how much is cooked and cubed, and all of that, the shredded cheese, all of those kinds of things. I use kind of this tally mark method. And then I put in the margin of the shopping list, I put things that I'm not sure if I have or not. Groceries are expensive right now, and I don't want to buy more than I need. So I then take my sort of completed draft into the kitchen and go through my cupboards and fridge and freezer and see what in the margin we already have, or if we don't quite have enough cans, then I can adjust the amount. Then I take that draft of my list and I create two good copies. One is a Costco list and bulk barn list for Christy. And if any of the recipes have like beer or wine or anything like that, which none of them did this time, but normally if some of them do, then that Christy also gets the liquor store list. And I create a list for myself for the local grocery store. And we will often time this so that it is around 15% off day. We weren't able to time it around that this time, but normally we would time it around that. And then I would do the 15% off day with my list which is the first Tuesday of every month. So then when I have those two generated, lists that are the final thing, then I go and do my grocery shop. This time I was so fortunate because I was able to take 3 of my kids with me. As you're gonna hear, I thought that I was taking 2, which I was really happy about, and then in the end, one of my daughters decided to come as well. So that was such a blessing because I had so much help, and not just help with the groceries, but also like with putting them into the vehicle and then bringing them into the house and putting them away. And all of that is a huge job. So I was so thankful to have help. I did pay them in the form of a hot drink from Second Cup, a drink of their choice. And they were thankful for that because it's a nice treat. But they were awesome. One of the little tricks that I use when we're in the store and I have helpers with me is that they come and take a photo of a portion of the list, and then they take that with them and take their cart and go. We usually use 3 carts, sometimes 2. We've never done 4, I don't think, but for these freezer meals, like big sessions, it usually takes 3 carts. So they take their cart and their little photo that they've taken of that section of my list, and they go off and they get what they need, and then they come back and, hey mom, what do you need next? And then, they take another photo. Because I have the list in sections of where things would be in the store, it works really, really well. And the shopping lists in the club print off that way as well for that exact reason, because it just makes, it easier when you're in the store. I forgot to mention that with your club list, what you can do is you can have it on your phone, take your phone into your kitchen with you, and then there will be little boxes and you can just check like no, 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 no for the things that you already have in stock. And then you can click the button that says regenerate shopping list, and it will regenerate your shopping list without those items. So I forgot to mention that, but that is another little trick of the club. And then you go to the grocery store, get all your things. Hopefully you have help like I do, but even if you don't, it's a big job, but once you get it done, again, it's gonna be part of that prep, which takes out so much of the work later. So then you are back with your groceries and you start doing your prep. So I'm gonna show you today what we do for prep, how, like some of the things that have saved us some time and that we've figured out over the years to be able to do large quantities of prep faster. And we're also gonna be checking in with Christy, and she's gonna share some of the ways that she does prep at her house and some of the things that she has figured out for how to speed up this process. So we are going to be getting the video to you of these over 100 freezer meals in about a week. We're starting our assembly tomorrow, but it's gonna take me a while to edit that video. So give me about a week, and then we will be in your kitchens or in your living rooms or wherever you're watching this, maybe in your car. I don't know, that's really interesting. I hadn't really thought that you would be watching anywhere other than like your living room or kitchen, but wherever you're watching this, hopefully this will be able to help you kind of see behind the scenes and conceptualize like how this might work for you, because freezer meals just have taken so much stress out of my life and make things so much easier, and I want that for you too. So come join us as we prep and get ready for this big mega meal marathon. So I am about to head out and grab these groceries. I've got my handy dandy list here, but I had a thought and I just wanted to share it with you because I know some of you are in the thick of it with little ones. And this morning I've got 2 of my sons coming with me to get these groceries. They are 20, and so they're huge helpers, and this is gonna take less than half the time that it would take me on my own because they're coming to help me. And I'm so thankful for that. But what I wanted to share is when my kids were little, I would take them all with me grocery shopping. So at first I was taking all 7 kids with me, and then later I was taking 5 kids with me every time. And at that time I was a homeschool mom, and so they were just with me every day, and they came with me to get groceries. And when I did the 15% off day for the freezer meals and we had 3 carts full, I would have 5 kids with me, and it took a lot longer to get those groceries with all those little ones, getting them like in and out of car seats and getting them in, you know, and sometimes we had to have an extra cart because the kids would sit in the part of the cart, you know. But I would take my time and I would explain to them how to find sales and how to check the best prices, and that it's not just on the price, but it's on the size of and the quantity and all of that. And so I taught them that and took the time to do that, which made the grocery trips much, much longer, but it has paid off like tenfold because these guys are such great helpers, and all of my kids now have those skills to be able to find the deals and do the grocery shopping. And sometimes I give them my debit card and send them a list and send them to get the groceries, and I can trust them to know what brands to get, what I like, what's the best deal, what's the best price, all of that, because I invested the time when they were little. So I just want to encourage you, if you're at that stage where your kids are where it's a nightmare to go grocery shopping, and it truly is, I get it. I mean, I've been there when they're having a tantrum or meltdown in the aisle. I know, I feel your pain. But I just want to encourage you that it's worth it, and someday it is going to pay off so huge. So keep doing what you're doing, Mama. Okay, let's go get these groceries. So this is what my freezer is down to. So I need to move some things around, and we're gonna take out African Thai stew for lunch. And yeah, I have to get some of these odds and sods moved around to make room in my freezer for the meals that are coming. We got things like Girl Guide cookies, and because the mint ones are so good frozen, and injera, which we always like to have some of that in the freezer, so I'll move that to one of the other freezers, and bread and just odds and sods. So I gotta get that moved around. This is freezer number 2, and it doesn't look like it has that much room in it, but actually a lot of these things like the Cool Whip, Oreo ice cream, the hash browns, some of these frozen broccoli, and here we got frozen green beans, and like I was saying, hash browns and whatever. A lot of those are getting used in the freezer meals we're making this time, and the meatballs here. And so this is actually gonna get emptied out kind of as we go. And then these right here are appetizers, and so are these, because Christy and I have been working on making holiday appetizers. And so those are gonna get moved into the above the fridge freezer, because I'm making that into a appetizer freezer for the holidays. Not everybody's lucky enough to have that. And this above the fridge freezer is actually going to be kind of a huge job, because some of my kids are old enough where, they're young adults, and so they buy their own things like the pizza pops to take for their lunches. And so I have things like that I need to get rid of. I've got a son that buys his own frozen fruit to make smoothies. So this ground beef is gonna get thawed and cooked up for the freezer meals, but this is the freezer that I'm hoping to use for, like you can see, we've been making these holiday appetizers, and I wanna devote this whole freezer to that so that I can get more organized. So this is gonna be part of the job today. First tray of chicken breasts going in the oven, and on the stovetop, we've actually got that African Thai stew and cowboy baked beans. Those are two of our past freezer meals that we are making up to get rid of them and feed the family tonight. And I'm cooking some chicken in buffalo chicken sauce, or Frank's Red Hot sauce, for our quesadillas. And then here are those chicken breasts that are in the oven, so prep is underway. Time to start cubing that first tray of cooked chicken to get it ready for meals. Another tray and a half to go. I usually cook my Mexican veggie beef in the skillet on the stovetop, but I'm trying it in the crock pot this time, and honestly I won't do it this way again because it didn't brown up the way I like it to, because I'm only cooking it for texture reasons. It's already pre-cooked. So next time it's back to the skillet for this prep. The cooked chicken is just about done. Well, we're on the last tray anyway. So we're gonna move along. We're gonna brown the Italian sausage in the skillet on the stovetop. I do Christie's separately because she uses the mild sausage and I use the spicy. For this freezer meal session, we're only doing one recipe, 4 of that recipe, but one recipe with using Italian sausage, ground Italian sausage. And so I've decided that I'm just gonna put the Italian sausage directly into the freezer bags. These are mine made with the spicy, and I will mark Christie's because hers will be with the mild Italian sausage. That way I can save a dish, and instead of putting it in a bowl and taking up space in the fridge, which is running out of space with all of the onions and cheese and peppers and everything like that in there, I can just put them directly in the bags. And then tomorrow when we make these, we'll just add everything else into the bags and those will be done. I purposely cooked up a little bit of extra Italian sausage so I can put it in a medium-sized bag and put that in the freezer. We like to put that on top of nachos, pizza, hash browns, eggs, all of that kind of thing. So it's always handy to just have some on hand and just have that in the door of the freezer. Now, normally when we do bacon in the oven, we can fit 2.5 trays on exactly this size cookie sheet. And the way we do that is we twist it. But this time we hardly need any bacon done for prep. So we're just gonna lay them flat on some parchment paper, put them in the oven, and then when we take it out, we're going to rest one side of the cookie sheet on an oven mitt so that all the fat drains down to one corner, and that is the easiest way to keep it crispy. For our ground beef, we are putting it on a tray lined with tin foil, baking it, and we're gonna actually take it out at one point to mix it again and drain some of the fat, and then we'll put it back in. We're just using our mix and mash tool, not called that, mix and chopper or something, to spread it all around. And I've got 2 packs on here, and that's all that's gonna fit. And yeah, that's it. So I've got that bacon in my top oven and the ground beef in my bottom oven. Let's check in with Christy and see how prep is going at her house.
What have I got? More cans. All my chicken is under there. My shrimp. I picked up bread. We need a lot of mushrooms this time. There's some tortellini down there. It's full of short pork shoulders. Trays and tomatoes and a lot of chicken broth. really good sale at Walmart on the chicken broth. And of course bags. And of course a gingerbread house, because the ones at Costco are the best.
Christy put her ground beef in her slow cooker and added some water and left it to cook. And this was a new experiment to see how that would go. And then of course she had to drain it, and I'll let her show you how that all turned out.
All right, I got home and this is smelling good. I've been gone for several hours. Ooh, look at that. I'm gonna just break it up a bit. It is not cooked though. There is still a lot of pink in there. That was a big hunk of meat. And it floated. Is that weird? I didn't expect that. We want to leave it chunky a little bit. We're making chili with this. We're making beef stroganoff. We don't need to stir it up too much or it gets slubby. Somebody on YouTube called it that, when you stir it too much and it gets gritty and sandy looking. Slubby. Thought that was a good word. Okay. How many hours? That was 10 o'clock. Now it's 2. It's 4 hours on low. I'm going longer. Today I am doing 5 minced, 24 diced, 11 sliced, and then I have, can't see it in this shot, but I have a bag of red onions over there and need 7 of them sliced. So I'm going to start with the 11 sliced and see if I can fit them into this container. Set up my little compost over here. Normally I have my son helping me, and today he has opted out because onions make him cry. And I'm like, yeah, they do. Me too. I'll be there with you in a sec. Okay, back in the day, I used to work for Subway, and we had a coring tool. It would take the stem part out of a tomato, and it would take the core out of an onion, and then we ran it through a machine to slice it. And normally I don't bother with it, especially when I'm doing a whole bunch, but these ones are going to be sliced, and I don't want them holding together. So the core is on that end. This is the stem end. This is where the roots came out. And I'm just gonna do that to all of these, because they are, if you're gonna be cutting onions with your knife instead of a chopper like I have, I'll show you later, you kind of want to leave the core in because it helps that onion stay intact while you cut around it. Oops. Should leave them core up, and then I know if they're done. Oh, I'm just about done. Last one, I think. I don't know how big they need to be. As long as they're consistent, you get what you get. gonna do the minced. I'm gonna use my little chopper tool. I'll put a link in the description below. It comes with a bunch of these little plates that they're super sharp. They have these little knives on them, these grid knives. And so I have the two that I use here the most often. I have the one for minced and the one for dicing or chopping. It's a fairly thick chop and it's a fairly heavy mince. If I was doing it by hand, I would probably get a little smaller mince on it, but do you know what? When you're doing so many of them, you just do what you need to do and get it done, and that's a-okay. So, I only need 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. Quarter them generally. I don't take the core out of these ones. I suppose I could. I don't know why. And okay. So to get the most even chop, I have learned to put this corner V shape straight down. You press it in a little bit and it just kind of sits there. And then here's the loud part. Bang. It's down in there. If I do it this way, I get long pieces here because of the way the onion curves. So if I do it this way, all of these go down. It goes down through the grate at the same angle, and because of the layers, I get a more even mince. That was it. I don't know how much this little sucker was, but it was the best money I've spent on freezer meals ever. Alright. That was it. Into the fridge. Next round is 24 diced onions. I've laid out 24 here. I'm going to pause my video and just prep them all, and we'll just skip to the chopping part because that's the most fun anyway. Are the sliced red onion, and then we are done. There's 7 of them. I'll just chop them up real quick. All right, those are all peeled, ready to go. We're gonna put them in here. Oops, I didn't core them. I probably should have cored. See, look at, ooh, got a funny looking core.
Christy shreds the cheese using a food processor, and she's got quite the system. The trick to it is to use some cornstarch so that it doesn't clump together. Because this is a little bit more of a detailed thing, we're going to pop a link to a video where Christy explains this process in depth. We'll put that above and in the description below. You can check that out and see how she shreds 40 cups of cheddar cheese at one time.
We don't normally prep the chicken ahead other than sometimes we have to bake it and cube it. But when we do chicken for freezer meals, I prep each bag as we need them. And honestly, it's hard on my back. It's a long time to stand there. And I have a little bit of extra time today. So I have 8 trays. I have 4 here and I'll whip through these. And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch some movies and sit in a chair and do them. And won't that be nice to have that done? So when it comes time to put these together and assemble them on our mega meal session, the prep will be done. So this will be so fast and I'll be glad to have it halfway. Sorry to sit with my head cut off, but it's more important for me to show you what I'm doing to the chicken than it is for you to see my beautiful face. And this part's always yucky, and I will bleach it after. So I take a tray and I count them: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So I'm going to put 10 in each bag. When I pick up each piece of chicken, I feel around, I cut off those extra bits of fat and gristle, and I feel for any bone shards that are in there. And there's a little bit of extra fat there. I don't mind the fat, it gives some of the flavor, but yeah, it feels good, it looks good. So I don't lose count. Sometimes what I do, because that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, I'll start here and go backwards. And that way I don't have to think too much. Ooh, I can feel bone shard. So these are from Costco, and I mean, they're mass producing these. Maybe other butcher shops have a little bit more care and attention, but if you think about the amount of chicken that goes through Costco, it makes sense that they're gonna miss some things. So it's good to go over them. See, I feel it all there, and we're good. That's 2. I've got 2 done. That really only took a few minutes. I'm going to go and wash my hands and put them in the fridge, and then I can get started on this one here. Really, I'm doing them so fast that I'm not too worried about having 4 trays sitting here, because really they're just, bam, gonna be in the fridge already. So thanks for watching. I meant to comment, how many does this have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Sometimes there's 21, sometimes there's 22. I just divide them evenly. If I find that there's a bunch with 21, I alternate which bag gets the extra one. It's not really a big deal. We make it work. But this is the easiest way to do the math, is Just one tray equals 2 meals, full stop. Get the same amount of chicken on average every time.
I had my daughter helping me prep some of the vegetables. We did sliced green peppers, diced green peppers, sliced red and yellow peppers. We cubed zucchini and sliced mushrooms. We also sliced green onions. So there's always quite a bit of veggie prep. But of course, when we go to assemble these meals, we are going to be so thankful for all the prep we did ahead of time, including getting all of these veggies ready so that we can just throw them into the bags and they will make amazing meals. Yes, I peel my mushrooms before I chop them. I know that's a strange thing to do. I've been doing it for years and years, and actually this time my daughter is doing it for me. Thank you very much. But the reason I do it is because I'm squeamish. I think we've established that I'm quite squeamish. And my husband's family is like 2 generations of mushroom farmers. And so I know a lot about the way that mushrooms grow. And yes, they absolutely do bleach the kind of manure-ish mixture that the mushrooms grow in. So it is sanitary. There's nothing wrong with just wiping your mushrooms. It's best to not wash them because then they get all gross, like mushy. But there's nothing wrong with just, wiping them off and then cutting them. But like I said, because I'm squeamish and I had visited the mushroom houses and smelt the manure mixture, I just have always since that time peeled my mushrooms. So there you go, a little insight into quirky old me. But there we go with how we prep our mushrooms. We peel them and then cut the ends off and slice them so that you get a whole bowl full. We're doing actually a ton of mushrooms this time, like so darn many, that we're doing 4 times this amount. So this is the now appetizer freezer above the fridge.
Hi, Christy here. We are in my garage. I have my upright freezer. I have a fridge freezer that's a side-by-side unit. So here I have to do a bit of clean out, as you can see. And these are ones that we pre-made. Charla made them yesterday, so they're already ready to go. But the rest have to go into this freezer. So as you can see, we got a bit of a mess. We're going to be making these shrimp bags into stuff. And I got to clean out the rest of my shelves. As you can see, yes, I still have store-bought frozen products, but you know what? There's a time and a place for store-bought chicken fingers, and that's cool. Gotta do a little defrosting in this one. There was something that was catching the door, and some moisture got in. Otherwise, it's been a very good freezer. I'll show you one more freezer that I have. This is my last freezer. Well, I still have a kitchen freezer, but so we have bread in here. These drumsticks we're gonna make into something today. That's some Christmas baking that I did earlier this week. We'll have that in a video at some point. And sometimes I just keep my spices in the freezer. Buffalo chicken dip. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, and I just lost something down the back. I guess we'll find it in 2026 or something. Who knows? Okay, we'll see you over at Charla's. I will have to... Okay, you can see now I have more room, and this is my side-by-side freezer, fridge freezer combo. These are the ones that Charla prepared yesterday because she had some stuff that was ready to go, so she just got going and started it. And you'll notice that I put cardboard down on my grates, it's because when you lay your bag down, sometimes the bag will sink into this and then freeze there. And then what do? It's hard to get out. So I put the cardboard in there. I'll take that out. I'll put the cardboard in there to give it something flat to lay on. But it's important to have the space around the edge of your cardboard. Do you see that? I have that here. Because you still need airflow for your freezer to work properly. This one, it goes all the way to the edge, but in the back there, there's room down there, okay? So you get good at laying them flat and stacking them. They do their job, they stay put. Some people like to then turn them upright and do it like a library book, and maybe that's a little easier to sort through, but this is how I do it. And let's look at my other freezer. So I jammed a bunch of stuff up there, but I'm going to be cooking with a lot of it today, so I'll clear that out. This one's totally ready to go. This one got a little fuller. It could be a little more organized, but it's okay. And then I have quite a bit of room in my basket down here, so I'm doing okay for freezer space. I think I'm ready for today.
Thank you for joining us on this little prep session. Here's a little preview of some of the meals that we're going to be making. Join us for that next week. See you guys later. Happy cooking.